Star Trek vs. Star Wars: The Imperial War by Darius Trent. Epilogue. Admiral Motti hurried around the corridors of the Executor to his quarters. He had taken the bridge watch for the past several hours, and after ensuring that no Federation ships were currently on their way, he relieved the watch to the recently promoted Admiral Pete. The Admiral seemed more than happy to relieve him, as he was finally not under the control of the ignorant and seemingly idiotic Ozzel. While Motti had not personally known Ozzel, he was relatively upset when he found out he had perished, as he was originally a valuable asset in his plans. But nevertheless, he haphazardly tossed his old plans out the window and was currently scheming a new one to compensate. Once he was inside his quarters, he guaranteed that no security cameras or sensors were inside the room. While he knew Imperial sensor technology was relatively simple, he still didn't want to be caught by surprise. He looked through every nook and cranny in the room, ensuring that no one could testify what he was doing. Next, he walked around looking for a bucket of sorts. Whatever would do, it just had to be concave. He found an empty trash can next to a desk which, while a trash can, seemed clean and was large enough for him. Then finally, when he was absolutely sure no one was watching, he let everything go and slid into the bucket as his natural form took over. In his natural state, he exists as an orangish puddle of liquid, or what his race was rather known by as the changelings, the leaders of the Dominion, which occupied a vast portion of the Gamma Quadrant, the amount of space in their control dwarfing that of all the Alpha and Beta Quadrant powers combined. He let his mind go as thousands of other voices overlapped to form a joyous harmony in his head, establishing a secret telepathic bond with the Founders that he was sure that even the overbearing Lord Vader could not detect with his mysterious Force abilities. An older raspy voice suddenly emerged from the pleasant chaos, directed at him. "So you managed to survive, Vader," stated the voice. "Have you managed to find anything else about their universe? They appear to have less advanced sensor and range capabilities than us," answered the changeling telepathically. "They will be no match for any fleet we send through." "Were you able to discern anything about their telepaths?" asked the voice. "Nothing so far, except from what I can tell, their telepathic abilities seem to be hampered by this universe," replied the changeling. "However, their abilities are enhanced in their own universe, and I do not think I will be able to communicate with you safely once I am there." "Then you must do what you can to disrupt their ability to attack us until we are ready," ordered the voice. "I can assume you sent the person you were imitating to us?" "The real Admiral Motti is on his way to you unconscious in an escape pod, along with a few of their infantry they call stormtroopers," replied the changeling. "Their hyperspace is far faster than our warp drive, so they'll be at the closest Dominion outpost to mapped Imperial space in about 3 days. I took blood samples from him, so if they attempt to ascertain whether I am actually me, they will be deceived. Our Jemadar will be looking forward to testing the new human's capabilities," replied the voice. "You have truly done a great service to the Dominion." "Until next time then, Odo," ended the changeling. "Until next time," ended Odo before the voices slowly faded away, leaving the changeling alone to plan for the Dominion. Inside the tech dome of the Lars family moisture farm, Luke Skywalker was busy working away at a strange device, with his friends including Wendy, Deke, Lays and Kami, helping by sitting from the sidelines and occasionally getting a tool for him. They had been standing there for the past half hour, watching as Luke had been madly tinkering inside the scorched shell of the device, which looked like it had somehow not only survived atmospheric re-entry on Tatooine, but also quite a turbolaser pounding. Remarkably, the internals were quite intact, and an assortment of components, all branded with some sort of logo and the words, "Property of Starfleet," written underneath. "Could you actually tell us why we're here?" impatiently asked Lays. "We've been here for ages watching you tinker around with that thing." "This is just some thing," Luke shot back as he got up from underneath the device. "It's a very complex communications buoy, more complex than anything the Empire's got. So, it might just be an experimental prototype we can give back to them for a heap of credits," Kami said as she folded her arms. "If anything, you're hurting the value of that thing by tearing it apart. I don't think we've got a ship called the USS Enterprise, now don't we?" argued Luke as he gestured to the words written on the casing. "Besides, this thing is nothing like what the Empire has. I brought up the tech schematics of every probe the Empire fields, past and present, and the technology of this is far beyond any of them. This part looks like part of some protective paneling for a computer of some sort, commented Deke as he picked up a piece off the table. Yes, and if I can get to the computer, I'll be able to figure out what this thing is for and how I can sell the parts of it, added Luke. Could someone pass me the hyperspanner? I think I've come across some sort of holographic system. Sure, like that's worth much. Lace taunted as he threw the hyperspanner at Luke, his hand mysteriously knowing where it was and catching it without looking. No, this looks completely different to anything I've seen, replied Luke as he suddenly poked the hyperspanner in the wrong place, activating the probe as it whirred to life and suddenly projected an image in front of the group, startling them all and sending them backing up to the wall. Luke himself joined them as he studied the hologram closely. The hologram itself was beautifully created, it looked so close to reality it may as well have been real. It was the detail in the features, coloring and shading was astounding, unlike the small glitchy holograms they knew of with blue shades coloring everything. Luke wondered what such race could create such a beautiful hologram, and how it was made. The hologram itself was of a woman in her mid-20s, with her hair tied up in traditional Alderaanian style. She was wearing some sort of military uniform, a black jumpsuit with gray, lined shoulders and a red collar. On the collar was a single pip, obviously some sort of rank insignia, and on her left breast there was a badge with the same symbol as on the parts of the probe. This is Ensign Organa of the USS Enterprise, or as you probably know me as Princess Leia Organa of Alderaan, she said, the voice sounding smooth and natural rather than the corrupted sounds they heard normally from a hologram. Some months ago, the Empire attacked my ship, the Tantive IV, in the Tatooine system. During the attack, we accidentally fell through an anomaly and somehow ended up in a completely different universe. In this universe, the benevolent United Federation of Planets exists in the place of the Empire, a forward-thinking society where education and morality are placed far above money and power. These people rescued us, and in return we have assisted them in any way we can against the Empire. Luke started to think about this Leia Organa. Somehow, he knew he had seen her before, and something deep within him told him he should have known her already. He dismissed the thought of knowing the Princess of Alderaan before the hologram continued. But it is not enough. The Empire has begun to overwhelm the Federation, and they are struggling to fight the Empire as we speak. To the person whom this message is directed to, please, get the rebellion here as fast as you can, so we may not have to fight this war alone. Help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope. The image faded away, leaving nothing but the air and its steed. Luke knew what he had to do from the moment he heard the name, Obi-Wan Kenobi. He hurried back to the probe and frantically started to undo the damage he had done to it. Hang on, what's happening now? Asked Laser. I thought we were going to sell this thing for parts. It's too late for that now, Laser. Luke replied as he ran over to the table and grabbed a piece of the probe. You saw the message. We need to get this to Ben Kenobi as soon as we can. Well, can't we just upload the message onto a data chip and give it to him? Proposed Laser. The file is completely incompatible with any type of data chip we have here. Believe me, I've tried, replied Luke. Now can you help me get this back together? Fine, we'll help, relented Laser as he slapped his hands on his thighs. He picked a piece off the table as the others did so in the assistance of Luke, who was busy undoing the mess he had made inside the probe.